Have you ever noticed how sprinters have really well developed glutes? There's a specific takeaway we can learn from this to immediately get better results growing them. The glute max wraps around the pelvis and attaches on the femur, so when the leg is out in front of the body in a position of hip flexion, it has a lot of leverage to pull the leg underneath us and behind us into a position of hip extension. And sprinting requires a lot of management of forces around the hip complex, but also a lot of force going into the ground, much of which comes from that transition of hip flexion to hip extension. And almost every single time you see a sprinter with really good glutes, they're going to be biased towards more of this extension posture. This extension of the spine and anterior pelvic tilt is actually advantageous for them. This length of the glutes, in addition to some other factors, allows for a rapid transition from hip flexion to hip extension, in addition to quick force application into the ground. The takeaway from this is that the glutes are very powerful hip extensors. So we want to train the glutes in their primary action of creating hip extension, bringing the leg straight back underneath us. And we want to do this in the presence of a little bit of extension of the spine without overdoing it though. This extension is necessary to get proper length through the glutes for them to be leveraged to then create that hip extension. That's why I'm such a fan of single leg kickstand hinges like this, and also a bent over split squat to really target the glutes through getting more of that hinge and also a little bit more of that extension of the spine to leverage them effectively. But also relatively more narrow stance positions like narrow stance leg press and narrow stance squats can be good because that will allow for the glutes to get more leverage and length as they wrap around the pelvis in more of that narrow position.